tutorial using the iPad, Procreate, and the Apple Pencil. What we're going to be working on today is super easy. It's just a few steps, and we're going to be using my new brush set, the Creativity Kit. It gives you a really lifelike marker and felt pen and paint shapes. So you can see we'll be using several brushes. The felt fine liner will be using several of the stamps and the round mono paint. So when you download the kit, you'll have all of those here, and I'll walk you through using them. There's really just 3 simple steps to this piece. We're gonna create our outline, color it in, offset it, and add our stamp. So it's really beginner friendly and a lot of fun, even if you've been using Procreate for a while. You can see I also printed it on my printer, and if I didn't have the lettering there, it would really look like I had done it with just markers and a felt pen. So it's really fun to print as well. Are you ready to get started? So the first thing you want to do is open up a square canvas. I've made mine 1200 by 1200 pixels and 300 DPI. Now, using the color black, we are going to grab the D&D felt fine liner from the Creativity Kit, and we're going to use it at a fairly small size. So you might just want to test and see how big it is. You can double tap 2 fingers to undo. I want to show you it at a large size real quick, just so you can see the edges. So it gets that nice inky felt texture, as if we were using a thin Sharpie on real paper. So I've got mine set to about 15% here. And now all we're gonna do is draw out our basic lettering outline. And we want this to look really hand-drawn. So you don't have to be too careful with it. You can make your letters pretty funky. So just go through and write out the phrase that I have done or a different one. And if you get these little overlaps, all you have to do is use a small brush, any small brush, and an eraser, and just kind of clean up your edges. You can round them a little. So go through and write your whole phrase out with the outline marker, and then we'll come back and color it in. Okay, so we have our whole outline done, so let's tap our layer and rename it outline, just to keep things organized. Now we're gonna color it in. So let's add a layer above, and we'll rename this one color, and then tap and hold it, and we're actually going to drag it to the bottom. So now the next marker we are going to use is this round mono paint, and I am going to just color my letters in using different colors along the way. So I'm going to alternate the color for each, so we can use this at a fairly big size. Here's what that marker looks like, or brush, and it's buildable. So if you layer it, it looks like you've done several layers of marker. If you want it to look more uniform, all you have to do is hold it to the page and don't lift your Apple Pencil. So we don't have to be too precise with this step either. We're literally just gonna color our letters in, and it's okay if it goes outside the edges a little. So I held it down to get a more uniform look. If you wanted to get a look where it was even more marker-like, you could lift several times, and then you'll get that overlap. So it just depends on what look you're going for. So now keep going just as I'm doing, changing your colors. You can use any colors you want, and go through and color your entire piece. And make that marker just a little smaller for that one. So go through and color your whole piece, and then we'll come back, we'll do our offset and add our stamps. And for the heart too, you could have also used, I think when I originally did this piece, I used the heart stamp. And here's one tip for you with the stamps. If I had used the heart stamp to color that in, if I stamp it, it might not be going the correct direction or the perfect size. So you can stamp it, and then you can use this little ribbon tool, circle it, grab the arrow tool, and then you can use this green thing to rotate it, and you can resize it as needed. All right, and to undo, again, you just use 2 fingers and double tap to go back and get it gone. So let's color our piece, and then we'll move on. All right, so now we have our whole piece colored in, and let's say for whatever reason, we want it to be brighter. There's a really easy way to do that. So all you want to do is duplicate your layer. So all I did, swipe left on your color layer, click duplicate, and can you see how much brighter it gets? And you can adjust that even by tapping the N and playing with the opacity. So if you want it just a little brighter, you could put it around 50%. And that just brightens it up a little without losing all that nice texture. So you could either merge those layers together, or if you want to be able to go back and play with them, then you could leave them separate, but you would want to group them. So you would swipe right on both layers so they both turn blue, and then click group. And now we'll rename that group color because we're going to move it, so we need them together. All right, so they are together. So now we're just going to tap the arrow tool, and we're just going to offset our lettering a little so that the outline and the coloring don't quite line up. And you can do that just however you think looks nice. I just go a little to this way and down. So a little right and a little down. And now we've got our little offset and it looks really fun. So all we need to do is add our stamps. So stamps are super fun. They're one of my favorite things to use because they just make such quick and easy work of things. So let's start with this Stamped Plus number 1. And you can see it's got a lot of texture. Whoop, we need to add a new layer. So tap to add a new layer, tap and rename that layer Stamps. And you can see if I make this nice and big, it's got a lot of texture to it. I actually created this using gelatos on watercolor paper and then scanned it in and turned it into a stamp. So we want to do 2 of those on this side. You can refer to my original piece if you want to, or you can just place them wherever you want. And I did 2 over here. And again, don't be too precise because we can go back and adjust them here in a little bit. And then I'm going to grab the Stamped Plus 3, make that fairly small, and put one there, and put one here and here. And then I'm gonna grab the Stamped Circle, and I'll put that one here. Oh, that one's a little too big. I'm gonna go pretty small with that one. Here, here, and here. And now I'm gonna do just a few of the, let's do the stamp dot number 1. And I'll do 3 of those as well. Make those pretty small too. All right, so that was pretty easy, but we wanna make them look a little more fun and creative. So all we're gonna do is come back up to this little ribbon tool, and we will circle to select, and then we can adjust and resize a little so that one is bigger than the other and it really looks a little more handmade. And if you don't like where a dot placed up, you can shift it over slightly. And I want to move this whole thing. So I'll circle the whole thing and move it up so that one is at the top half and one is at the bottom half to create some symmetry in my piece. And the same number of stamps I used on this side, I used on this side. So you can just keep adjusting it and playing with it till you get it just like you want it. This side looks a little too close to the lettering to me, so I'm going to move that over a bit. And I want to shift these so that they're more like that direction. So again, it's just totally up to you how you want to do that, what stamps you want to use. You can play around with it until you get it, oops, 2-finger tap to undo, just how you want it. But that is all there is to creating a piece like this. You could use all different kinds of lettering styles. You could color it in different ways. You can use any of these other brushes to color things in. If you saw my promo piece for this, I used one of each of these to create the piece, so I'll show you that real quick. So this is the main promo image I created for this brush kit, and I used all of the brushes, I used all of the stamps, and I used all of the border brushes. So these down here are border brushes. The colored parts are the actual brushes, and for the lettering, I used the exact same method I just taught you. I outlined them, I colored them in, each with a different color and different brush, and then I offset it. I used colored stamps at all different sizes, and then I just added some little letter details. So you could take what I just taught you and go a step further to make something like this, and it gets even more fun and doodly and journaly. It reminds me of when I used to doodle on my notebooks in school. So I hope you have a lot of fun with this, and I would love to see what you create. Post it on Instagram and tag me at by Dawn Nicole. And I thank you for spending some time with me today.